There she goes, she'll turn you around when she get on the floor.
It's been about 4 months since Amir was released, and even longer than that, they've decided to stick with the wave clearing for the events. So for over 4 months, I was painstakingly trying to get rank 1 in events, but it was impossible because without Amir, you cannot get anything lower than 20 turns, and even if someone has R0 Amir, they can easily go below 20 turns. But recently, I got really lucky and pulled R0 of him in my summon session for this patch. I don't have him max skilled up, I don't have his resonance, I don't have his divinate, but good thing is he does not need it because the event allows you to get max abilimons and also at least R2. So this is my team with 11 turns. You're gonna see R6 Daji right here, but you don't need her to be at R6. She can be at R0. Her only job is for you to one-shot the boss, or even if you don't one-shot the boss, you can still do it within 10 turns or 11 turns. But you would need a little bit more RNG. First things first, what you want to do is you want to reroll until you get the Inferno attack on the middle one, like right here, and then you can already go in. So the first buff, if you don't have any of your units maxed out, then you want to be going for this one. Ability levels are maxed during combat, boom, go for that one. And then you want to go for the Inferno Attune attack. And then lastly, if you have Amir at R0, you want to be going for this one. Captain's Resonance Phase +2 during combat. If you have him at R1, then you can go for this one, so that all of your Espers are +1 resonance. Or if you have him at R4, then you can go for this one as well, so that he becomes R6. R6 is also a big jump in terms of turn count to clear the waves, because you only need to proc his Divine Help once. I'm going to be using the trial version of Jing, so anyone who doesn't have her, you can use the trial version. My Amir is on crit rate piece. There's a reason why to this. You don't want him to do too much damage in some of the waves. These are my stats if you want to copy it. It works very well to get 10 to 11 turns. I've given him crit rate, HP and speed. If you cannot one-shot the boss with your Daji, you want your Amir to be at least 285 speed. I've used Ethan R2 to give him +20 speed. So right now he's at 286 speed because the boss is at 285 speed. And then your trial Jing, she's not going to get a turn, so it doesn't really matter what she is on. Your Daji will be on Harmony set, the most speed in the team, so that she can move first. And I've given her attack, and speed with at least +70 crit rate because you're using Ethan R2. Aside from Daji, it's a little bit difficult to try to run any other DPS because you need a DPS that can do a lot of AoE damage and also a very strong single target attack to kill off the boss. You might get away with Sloan, but Sloan is a little bit RNG because the boss is wind typing while Sloan is flow, so she's gonna miss a lot of her attacks. And then your Ethan will have no relics, he's not gonna get a turn, as well as your Lu Sheng. So the only turns that you're gonna be taking is Daji and Amir on the last final wave. So the strategy is you're not going to be autoing the fights. So when your Daji gets a turn, you're going to be using the S2 and clear the waves. And then every other wave, your Amir is going to help you clear the wave. But some of the waves you can actually go 2 turns where Amir just clears it by himself. So you take 0 turns to clear 2 waves. There's a bit of RNG when it comes to wave 10 because you want Amir to crit and not crit at the right time on a specific unit. So right here, round 10, this steward right here is a little bit tanky, so you don't want him to crit. And then at this point, you want him to crit at least once so that he kills the steward. And then the second wave, or wave 11, he will also clear it with no turn count. And this is going to be the strategy once again at wave 16 and above. So wave 15, you also need a little bit of luck where you need to kill the rest of the enemies except for the steward. Yeah, I didn't get lucky, I didn't kill off the Jin Yu Yao because it's type disadvantage. But ideally, you kill everyone off and then you leave steward for last, so your Daji can just kill him off. And then wave 16 onwards, your Amir will just kill all of the waves by himself. If you get lucky. Again, there's a bit of RNG. You need him to crit sometimes and you need him to not crit. That's the reason why you don't want him to be at 100% crit rate. So right now he's at 88% crit rate because wave 16 onwards you actually want him to miss some of the crits so he can land 3 Divine Help attacks. When he uses the Divine Help, he gains 1 stack of Zest, which is carried over to the next wave. So if you have at least 3 during the current wave, when he moves to the next wave, he will then get 7 Zest stacks, which means he's going to be casting the S3 once again, right? So if you can always get 3 hits of the Divine Help, you can clear all of the waves with 0 turns. That is why R6 Amir is going to be very helpful because he only needs to proc Divine Help once on each of the wave so that he can continuously cycle his S3. Alright, this is about as perfect of a run as I could possibly get. Now I need the RNG to kill off the rest of the enemy team. Okay, nice, we one-shot the boss, which means the Divine Help is going to go for the rest of the enemy teams. Come on. Nice, 10 turns. R0, D0, no skill ups Amir. So yeah, let's recap real quick. You want to be going for the Inferno Attune attack plus 25%. And then if you don't have any skill ups on Amir, you want to be going for ability levels max for the first buff node. And then if you have either R0 or R4 Amir, you want to be going for the Captain Resonance up plus 2. If you have him at R1 or R5, you can actually go for the plus 1 resonance. You want Amir to either be R2 or R6. R6 is going to cut your turn a lot more. But since I have him at R0, the best I can do is 10 turns. And then once again, you want him to have some crit rate but not 100% crit rate, because some of the waves you actually don't want him to crit. Unless you can damage tune him perfectly so that he gets at least 3 stacks of the Divine Cast on each of the wave from wave 16 to 19, then do so. But I find it best to give him not 100% crit rate and just rely on whether he crits or not crit. Again, you don't want him to go maximum damage because you don't want him to one-shot the waves. You need him to cast the Divine Help to gain the Zest buff. You're going to be using the Trial Jing, which does not matter what set you have on her. She's not going to be moving. Your Daji will be on the Harmony set because you will cast her S3 on the boss wave so that your Amir can clean up the rest of the enemies. Again, if you don't have an R6 Daji, you're going to have to damage tune your teams a lot more. You might need to go for crit damage on Amir instead of crit rate because the plus 20% of the debuff from Daji will not be present if you don't have R6 Daji, right? So go for crit damage and then you have to fish for whether he crits or not crit on wave 16 to 19 onwards. It does take a little bit of RNG if you don't have R6 Daji, but you can still manage to get a 10 turns without her. And then she's going to be on attack, and speed. She's going to be moving first and she has to have at least 285 speed to make sure that you outspeed the boss. Your R2 Ethan will not have any relics because he's not going to take a turn, but if you don't have an R2 Ethan, then you need to plus 20 speed on your Daji, and then also your Amir as well. And then Lu Sheng will be here just to provide the accentuated buff for Daji. Daji is the only one that's going to get the accentuated buff, and then 1 stack of the accentuated on Amir on the last floor because he's going to get 1 turn. The accentuated buff carries over for all of the waves, so as soon as you get to wave 20, your Daji will have 10 stacks of the accentuated buff, so you're going to be doing massive amount of damage. Yeah, before I got this guy, for 4 to 5 months, I wasn't able to compete in the leaderboard at all. I was ranked like 4 to 5 because there's at least 2 to 3 players in my group that has an Amir. Even at R0, you can easily get below 20 turns. But since I have him right now, getting rank 1 or at least top 3 should be pretty easy. That's about it. Ciao.